The radar, but things will really start to ramp up tomorrow. A first alert weather day for the possibility of severe storms. We are tracking that next in Weather Extra. Plus, when the National Park Service says the best dates are for seeing the cherry blossoms in Washington, and what NASA is saying tonight about the possibility of an asteroid hitting the moon in the next 10 years.
Live on your side. First Alert Weather Extra starts right now.
And right now, we are still tracking a few pop-up showers out there. We had some big lightning producers, but very summer-like across the area today with some of these little pop-up showers. We have a strong southerly flow, and we've been seeing a lot of this wet weather moving south to north across the area. But Tuscaloosa and Point South, we've been seeing a lot of this over West Alabama. Not seeing quite as much around Birmingham back into Shelby County further north. Coleman, we're not seeing a whole lot right now. I was noticing on our tower camera earlier, we could see a tall cloud from Birmingham. This was it, way up in here north towards closer to Huntsville, but right now things are pretty quiet around Hamilton. But let's watch Jasper. Let's keep an eye on some of this here to the south as some of these little areas in here with these pop-up storms and showers. Still some lightning. That's around Coaling, and that's tracking up towards Brookwood. But the wet weather's starting to break now south of Tuscaloosa. You get in here closer to Skyland Boulevard. We have a Sky Vision camera here, and we were looking at that rain really coming down here off of Skyland. But you can see now the heaviest of the rain. Looks like it's now crossed the river. Yeah, Northport's getting it right now. Yeah, from Northport and areas north towards Carroll's Creek, giving you that first alert. Let's take it back out to the big picture, and there's some storms that have popped up down in Coosa County. We're watching some of this down around Wetumpka, lifting off towards the north. You can see a nice little downpour south of Rockford, but it seems like this has really been struggling. It seemed earlier like some of this may try to reach us in Sylacauga, but you can see it's all kind of falling apart. But this is all moving south to north, so we're seeing south to north motion. If you get a precipitation alert on the weather app, just know that rain's going to be moving in a northerly direction for now. Tomorrow, rain's going to be moving south and east, and we'll be tracking that later in the day. Let's get you over to our current setup here, Tuscaloosa Riverwalk. This is the Sky Vision, 69 degrees, and yes, that rain, it has now pushed over the river. Most of it, we're looking pretty good there around downtown Tuscaloosa at this time. A live look from Birmingham. This is at Baptist Health Brookwood, where it's 77 degrees. You could see some of these tall clouds back to the west looking over Shades Mountain. But if you're about to head out, you can see things are looking pretty good right now from Vestavia back through Homewood and Birmingham. Oak Grove, Talladega County, still dry. That rainfall that storm didn't quite hold together, still showing 75 degrees. But scattered showers and storms we've been tracking, those are now settling down. And for the rest of tonight, I think things will be a little bit quieter into the morning. Tomorrow morning, low clouds. If you're out maybe doing a little work in the yard early in the day, you may notice it might be kind of overcast. It might get a little misty, maybe a few isolated showers in the morning, but the main round of storms is going to roll in during the afternoon. That's when we have a first alert weather day for a risk of strong to severe storms. Main concern will be gusty straight line winds. It won't last long as far as any severe weather impacts. It'll be brief burst of some strong winds and then some rain and rumbles, but the rain could be heavy in a few spots as this first moves into the northwest part of the area. But check in with us. We'll be streaming all afternoon into the evening. We'll have updates on the First Alert Weather app. So if anything is severe, of course, you'll get it right here from us at WBRC. But the stormy pattern does stick around through next week, and we'll get into more specifics on those rain chances. That's all coming up in our First Alert headlines and the full 10-day forecast. We're just getting started. 30 seconds away from more Weather Extra. All right, let's walk through the timing on this system for tomorrow, and we'll go through this again, but just to show you tonight, there's 11 o'clock. You see how everything settles down overnight tonight. We get into Saturday morning, there's 11 o'clock, so 7 to 11 o'clock, you're in good shape. And this is forecast radar for tomorrow, some of the brand new data. But see how we have a couple of these little showers? That's what I was talking about in the morning and through about lunchtime tomorrow. But we've got this axis of storms back to the west, and this is, it may become what we call outflow dominant as it moves south. It's just a big gust of winds that moves in. And that's going to be marching through. That's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So in that 2 to 4 o'clock window, you can see it's really starting to impact places like Hamilton, Haleyville, Fayette as it moves into the north. Let's take this out a bit further and show you where this will be positioned. Let's stop it right here. Let me back it up. There's 6 o'clock. So around 6 o'clock tomorrow, you can see there's Utah, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Aniana, Gadsden. So again, some gusty winds, some lightning risk, some heavier rain. And then by the time we get to 8, 9 o'clock, most of this looks like it's going to be out of here. So we move it. There's 8 o'clock tomorrow, and the leading edge is down in here, Clanton, Rockford, Marion. So we'll be watching it across Chilton County by 8 o'clock tomorrow night. But that means if you're watching me here to the south, most of the day tomorrow will be in pretty good shape until tomorrow night before these storms reach us. So you can see it's some leftover rain behind this. Now the question mark is Sunday, and a lot of times after systems like this, it tends to stabilize things a little bit. It wouldn't surprise me if we actually ended up with some decent weather for a period on Sunday before we started to see those scattered storm chances make a return. So we'll keep an eye on that, check in for updates. Right now we have a 50% chance of rain on Sunday, but also Sunday, a big change is coming, and that is where meteorologist Matt Daniel steps in to update you with everything you need to know about daylight saving time.
Well, this weekend, that's when daylight saving time begins. We're just less than 2 days away, and of course that happens Sunday morning when we lose that hour. So just to give you perspective, this evening our sunset was at 5:48. By Sunday evening, we'll have that sunset happening at 6:49, so be ready for that. I'm sure a lot of you are looking forward to it, but it's hard to adjust. Obviously, the sunrise will be a little bit later, so instead of enjoying a little bit of that sunshine in the 6 o'clock hour, we'll have to wait till about 7 with sunrise happening at 7:06. Want to give you some tips when it comes to the time change, and of course, whenever we change those clocks or adjust, a good idea to replace those batteries and those smoke detectors, and of course your NOAA weather radios. Always have fresh batteries for that, especially now that we're entering the most active time when it comes to severe weather. Always great to have that as well. A good idea too is just clean those dryer vents. Maybe reverse those ceiling fans as well. Usually in the wintertime you have it clockwise to help keep the room warm, but in the summer months, in the warm months, you want to make sure it's cooled, so make sure that fan is counterclockwise to help keep your place cool. And of course, we always highly recommend downloading the First Alert weather app, and of course this is always a reminder to just clean out some stuff. I think a lot of you probably already do that as we get into spring. So just to give you an idea about the amount of daylight, of course, when we say daylight saving time begins, technically we're not gaining any daylight. We're naturally going to be doing that regardless of what happens. So today we've got about 11 hours and 39 minutes of daylight. So we make our way into April 1st. This isn't a joke. We got 12 hours and 33 minutes of daylight. And as we get into May, we'll have about 13 hours and about 31 minutes of daylight. So we're actually adding about 2 minutes of daylight each day as we get closer and closer to spring and into summer. So something to look forward to with some longer evenings, and even by the mornings we'll start to see some earlier sunrises as well. So try to get some sleep. Might throw you off for a few days, but we've got this.
Explore the wonders of weather with Weather in the Classroom. Scan the QR code now to help your kids soar to new heights with Soar with 6.
Well, this winter has been one for the record books in Rapid City, South Dakota, but it's not because of cold and snow. As Ryan Hill reports, the season has actually been unusually warm.
The Snow Measurement Board tells the story of this winter better than any statistic can. There is nothing on it. Rapid City averaged 34.7 degrees this season, the warmest winter since records began in the late 1800s, and 0.2 degrees warmer than the previous record set in 1930. This tells the whole picture of the story. Dry grass, and look at this t-shirt. It has been quite dry. The city saw just 6.5 inches of snow and only 0.6 of an inch of precipitation, about half of what's normal. And that lack of snow is now creating a serious problem heading into spring.
The problem that we've had this winter was the lack of snowfall that would actually lay those grasses down, which would reduce our fire risk.
Smith explains that a La Nina pattern typically causes a jet stream, the flow of air guiding storms in their paths and separating polar air from temperate or tropical air to shift south. However, this pattern was pushed eastward throughout winter as La Nina weakened, resulting in the Black Hills being warmer and drier than usual. Currently, with grasslands parched and spring winds increasing, forecasters warn that the fire risk is extremely high.
We're getting into kind of our shoulder season for fire weather. It's typically the time of the year that we see before green up. Our grassland fire danger has been extremely high lately because of that lack of snowfall.
Smith says we have a possibility of the jet stream shifting in our favor to give us more moisture out of the Pacific and Gulf of America. For now, she warns that reservoirs across the Black Hills are short on winter recharge, and that problem could be made worse by El Nino contributing to a drier summer and fall.
All right, happening tomorrow, a weather radio giveaway in St. Clair County. This is happening at the New London Fire Department on Logan Martin Dam Road. That is going to be in the Cropwell area from 8 o'clock in the morning to 10 a.m. You must live in St. Clair County to get a free weather radio. Emergency management representatives will be programming those weather radios, and a meteorologist from the National Weather Service office in Birmingham will also be there talking about weather safety and information. Certainly it will come in handy tomorrow evening with it being a first alert weather day and the possibility of some stronger storms moving in. Right now, no severe weather happening at the moment, but we do have some lightning producers. So for our friends, you see right there that lightning strike showing up in Tuscaloosa County. If you have the First Alert Weather app, you get lightning notifications, so you'll be watching out for those later tomorrow. Could be some of those popping up. Temperature-wise right now, a lot of 70s showing up across Alabama. Didn't quite make it to records. In fact, I got those numbers for you here. Let me just pass it along. Birmingham 82, the high for today, Birmingham 82, Tuscaloosa 79, and Anniston 83. And for all those locations, the record in Birmingham, Tuscaloosa was 83. It was 84 at Anniston. So we were close. Didn't quite make it there as far as the record highs. But let's go back over to the forecast radar and show you things settle down tonight. And once again, tomorrow in the morning, there will be some clouds around. I just have the forecast radar data turned on. Want to keep it clean here so you can kind of see where the rain's located. There's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Those northwest areas impacted. As this line first moves in, we just see this setup so many times. It will come in quite intense, and then it will start to weaken quite a bit as it moves on further south. So by 6, 7 o'clock, probably the more intense part of this line is going to be down in here closer to Centerville, Greensboro, Demopolis, down in those areas. Really watch out 7, 8 o'clock for some strong winds. Not really seeing any major hail producers. You can't never rule that out when it comes to severe thunderstorms, but this setup is different than what we saw with the previous setup where we saw all the storms around Pinson and Trussville. We had some big hail producers that day. Don't think we'll see quite as many of those this go around, but we will certainly see a more impactful line with respect to wind gust as that moves south. Notice this model shows a nice little break right around church time on Sunday, so I still think Sunday will catch some breaks, and then as we heat up later in the day, there could be a couple pop-up showers. But, you know, we'll keep the risk there for some hailstones on the low end. Not necessarily seeing a major tornado risk out of this. You know, you just never say zero with any weather event when it comes to any sort of storm impact. But the main concern with this go around will be that risk for some damaging straight line wind gusts as that moves to the south. Next 24 hours, though, tomorrow, temperature-wise, it's still going to be a warm day, and that's the main thing I'm looking at. Well, with all this kind of coming in later in the day, we'll have a chance to heat up, so that's going to feed into this. Highs around 80 degrees, and then the wind will be out of the south at 9 miles per hour. Of course, gusty as that line moves in and through tomorrow evening, but a good chance for some wet weather, and we're in a drought, so we, of course, need the rain. Monday looks like a good chance of storms. As there's Sunday. Here's Monday right here. You see that? Pretty good coverage. Tuesday, most of the wet weather is going to be north, but let's take it on into Wednesday. This is the day I'm really watching. You see right there another line. There's going to be a stronger cold front that moves in. Could have some heavy rain. Again, another setup with some strong to severe storms. So Wednesday's another first alert weather day, but that was showing Wednesday at 10 p.m. So this is mostly next Wednesday night the way we see it, and then a Thursday morning we are going to have to watch it because notice we go from 82 to 69, lows back in the 40s, and we have more data coming in that even though you look at this forecast, you see highs in the upper 60s, close to 70. At night, we could go a lot colder. We're seeing some indications that we could see lows back in the 30s, perhaps, if not around Friday morning for some areas, perhaps closer to St. Patrick's Day, another surge of cold air. So we're not done with the cold just yet, so don't let this warmer weather catch you off guard. I'd still hold off on planting. It's just too soon for these warmer temperatures to stay for good. I mean, we're certainly going to have some cooler weather on the way. But in Washington, with all the warm up, of course, D.C. is getting prepared for its annual Cherry Blossom Festival. The National Park Service says the peak time for this season's blossoms is March 29th to April 1st. The National Cherry Blossom Festival runs from March 20th to April 12th. 250 new cherry trees are set to join the more than 3,000 currently surrounding the Tidal Basin and National Mall this year. The new trees were gifted to the U.S. from Japan to commemorate America's 250th anniversary. The Park Service says the length of blooming season ultimately depends, of course, on the weather. In Colorado, bee colonies are being threatened by warmer days this winter. Experts in Colorado Springs are concerned a lot of the bees will be lost in the months ahead, and Bill Folsom has that story.
Bees foraging among blossoms. Unusual because this is video captured in Colorado Springs when it's still winter and spring is still weeks away.
The bees at this time of year should be in a tight cluster, keeping themselves warm, riding out the winter.
And we want them to go into winter with about the equivalent of about 120 pounds of honey stores, which would be 2 of these big boxes on this hive.
Normally most domesticated honeybees will break cluster and they start flying about 45 degrees.
Leonard and Dolly Rickerman have been raising bees for decades. It's expanded into teaching others how to do it along with a small beekeeping business. This is video of all their beehives. They point out there's too many bees outside. It's the result of Colorado's extra warm winter.
Because they're out flying so much, they're consuming all the resources that are normally in the hive for them. And the big fear is this month and next month, there's a high probability of hives starving out.
All the movement burns energy. Finding more to eat, like on that one blossoming tree, is rare. Instead, most vegetation is still dormant. So they end up eating their stored honey.
It's disconcerting about this winter is people are coming in with their dead hives a lot earlier.
This day, the Rickermans have done what's called a hive autopsy. It's for another beekeeper. Starvation is the likely reason.
They just didn't have enough resources to survive the winter.
Extra warm days are also confusing queen bees. Some are laying eggs months early. If cold days hit or more bees continue to die from lack of food, odds are higher those young bees will be lost.
There's not enough nurse bees there to take care of them. They are going to die, yeah. And they have to be kept warm and fed and things like that. So it's a huge thing.
If you think you had a hard time waking up this morning, well, these bears at the Whipsnade Zoo in the UK, they woke up from 3 months of deep slumber Wednesday. Meet Manna, Minnie, and Naya, and Cinderella. They were a little sluggish at first, but I guess they got a little coffee. They began exploring their woodland home. Over the next week or so, they'll truly wake up. The wild bears enter hibernation, a survival skill that they've learned to preserve energy when food and availability of food is scarce every winter. Although food is plentiful here at the zoo, zookeepers say the bears are still driven by their of course, innate instincts to forage, and the zoo adapts, well, what they are fed to match their behavior. NASA has ruled out the chance that a closely watched asteroid will hit the moon. New data from the James Webb Space Telescope, it refined the orbit of the building-sized object known as 20-24 YR4. Scientists are eliminating a previous 4% chance that the asteroid would strike the lunar surface in December 2032. The asteroid is now expected to pass by the moon around 13,000 miles away, and they also say the object poses no significant risk to Earth for at least the next century. Well, that's good to know.
Download the WBRC streaming app and watch WBRC News Now, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. and 7 p.m. Search WBRC wherever you stream.
It's picture time here on Weather Extra. It's when we show the pictures that you've sent in through our WBRC First Alert Weather app. Here's a photo that's coming in from, they say it's Turkey and Diane Tillison, but it was labeled as Here Comes the Sun, and it was shot this Friday morning. We've got some livestock there. What a beautiful setting there. I'm not sure where they are sending that in from, but man, that is an absolutely gorgeous shot there. Way to go. Thanks for sending that in. This is Cindy from Steele, Alabama, and man, that is a spooky looking moon there. Wow, that'd be a great Halloween shot right there. Thank you, Cindy. Appreciate you sending that in. And this was back when we had the blood worm moon. Kaylee Doucette sent this in from Lake Mitchell. I wasn't able to show it reflecting off the water there because when I zoomed in to show this, but man, that's a cool shot there. Thank you very much. And Maddie from Gadsden, Alabama. Look at these rows of clouds that she shot. I'm sure she was in the passenger seat when she was going down the road and shot this picture. But a lovely looking shot there. That's really cool how those rolls of clouds came into that shot. That's pretty cool. If you'd like to send in a picture, you can either do an app search for WBRC First Alert weather app or just scan that QR code with your smartphone and send those pictures in, and you too can be a part here of Weather Extra.
All right, storm settling down tonight, but a first alert weather day tomorrow afternoon and evening. Stay weather alert. And I had a weather alert group today. I visited in Winfield, Alabama, and I want to thank Susan O'Mary for the invite. I was at the Senior Citizen Center. Always enjoy getting up to Winfield. We know a thing or two in Marion County about weather, and it was always great talking severe weather safety there for folks. Listen, we'll be back tonight. We got some sports on WBRC. We'll be streaming at 9 o'clock, so don't forget about our streaming app. You can join us right there. Have a great evening.